appreciate the work that was put into organizing this meeting in a short amount of time. Thank you, Mel. And what you say? Yeah, I appreciate it, and I'm glad to meet you, and I'm glad to meet the both of you and to hear your stories. I apologize that I wasn't in the room when you began to speak. I actually have been reading this here, and I got emotional, which I still am. I had to go into the bathroom to get myself together. Then my nose started bleeding, as happens when I get emotional as well. I've been doing this pretty much nonstop since that CNN appearance, traveling around and connecting with people across the country. And I connect with people actually around the world. People contact me electronically, and people have traveled, right, to the US, and this is a very interesting election period, so people are wanting to capture and connect with what's happening here. And it's a very emotional journey, and I was similar, you know, my mind is constantly going when how do we just end all this craziness, right? And so much of it is just craziness. I mean, there are things that are happening in our world that make, the only things that make sense are the craziest of conspiracy theories. Like really, like when it comes to why people would destroy the only place that they could live. Like if you live inside this building and there's no outside, would we set fire to this? Because this is all there is, right? This earth is the only thing that we know of publicly. It's the only place to exist, and people are literally moving it into a place of inhabitability. And it doesn't make sense unless, like the conspiracy theories, that there are space stations on Mars, or that there are, new Atlantises where people are, and then it can make sense because you want to get all of the resources off of our planet for your new underwater or celestial home that you're, like, that's crazy. But I haven't figured out something else that would make it make sense to destroy this place unless you got some other place that we just don't know of. Like these things, they're just crazy. It's crazy to me that we can't figure out how to just offer an education for our community. That there are kids who get abused. I mean, my goddaughter, when she started, she was a little prayerful Quaker, and she started kindergarten in my local Philadelphia elementary school, and within months was cursing, throwing chairs. And this wasn't because of the other students. That was a part of it. It was the whole culture of the school. The teacher yelled all day, every day, until her mother went up in the school and was like, "You're not ever doing that again." And then brought volunteers up into the school, and there was a lot that was done, but there's still not enough in that school. My goddaughter was removed from the school. She now lives in Montana, where her mother was from. It took a whole extra 2 years for her to go back to acting normal after 1 year in kindergarten. I mean, is there not a place that is the warmest and fuzziest place, if not kindergarten? You're getting yelled at all day and you're 5 years old? We can't figure that out. We can't figure out how to have police officers who actually are partners with our communities. I was a full-fledged adult when I first actually confronted the idea that there are people who actually have positive relationships with police. It didn't even occur to me that there are people who trust police. As a black woman in an urban community, it literally had never occurred to me that there were people walking around in their communities who would actually feel safer at the sight of a police officer. Because that had never, ever been my experience. These are things that should be so simple. One vote, one person, one vote, one voice, that idea, that's thrown out the window. You know, we obviously know that that's no longer true. If it ever was true, I mean, they used to hide the craziness. They don't even try anymore because they know that everything that they've done it keeps showing that we are so well programmed that they don't have to worry. Like, they could come in and set people on fire in front of us, and the rest of us would be like, oh my God, that's terrible. And we would tell people the stories and we would go to our jobs. That's the world that we live in right now. Like, our whole democracy was absolutely stolen, and obviously stolen. It was admitted to having been stolen. People quit because of the stealing. And we are just moving on. I mean, we're literally having conversations with each other about whether or not we should support Hillary. We gotta fight against Trump. Why are we not discussing the fact that our election was not even legitimate? That's what we should be talking about. Nobody's even talking about that in this conversation. This is baffling to me. She stole the nomination. And you are actually sitting here trying to talk to me and act like I'm crazy because I won't vote for her? That's what this is? That doesn't make any sense. What are these conversations that we're having? And why are we not having the critical conversations? Why are we not talking about what we did in Syria? Why are people acting like it's okay that we went up into Libya and destroyed that whole country? Because it's a black country, it's an African country with an African ruler walking around being all into himself and having all this confidence and thinking he's going to actually make Africa be a place for Africans. What did he think? What was he thinking? That he was going to go up in there and actually allow that the people from that land, the indigenous people of that land, were going to actually have the right to control the resources there and to control and define their own lives? He had the nerve to actually want to use the gold that was in his country to establish a gold standard so that our money would not be this thing that would be able to be just run up and down at the whims and will of anybody else. And that's what he did. And that's why he's dead and why that whole country is now in ruin. And we are okay with that as the ones who did it. We're okay with what happened in Honduras. We're okay that we took a country that was on a trajectory where the people's human basic living was going to be improved, had all of this potential and all of this hope, increase of minimum wage to real living wages, not living wages for a third world nation, real living wages, land ownership. That's what their president wanted for them. Oh, no, we can't have that. Because Chiquita Banana doesn't want to pay real living wages. So we got to get rid of that president, support that idea, let those people be living in horrible conditions, and if they try to get out, send them right back after we put them in prison for even trying. We're okay with that? Those aren't the conversations that we're having. Why are we not talking about the stuff that is critically important? I mean, yes, it's not good for a man to walk up and grab a woman's genitals. No, Donald Trump is disgusting. But there are even bigger things than Donald Trump. There are people who are dying every day. Somebody may be dying in this moment while we are sitting here right now. A preventable death. A death that we could be coming together to prevent. And we are dealing with and talking about the clownery of Donald Trump, who was put there by Hillary Clinton. And people are still scared not to vote for Hillary because of Trump, knowing that she put him there. I don't understand what's going on in our country. I really do not understand this. What are we? Where are the people who fight for what is right? Where are the people who stand and throw their bodies as a line between injustice and The Green Party is organizing. The Green Party is organizing. That's what my job has been. And it's not a job that ends on November 8th. They've sent me to Arizona, California, Oregon, Washington, Montana, came back down here to visit with you guys. Then I'm going back to the east, and then I'm going, I don't even know for sure. There's a couple possibilities of where I'm going next. And what we've been doing, so that you know, and so all of you guys know as well, what we've been doing in these different communities is talking about what the Green Party is intended to be, what it is setting itself up to be moving forward. So, is anybody here, are you guys all Green Party? Who am I talking to? Who's Green Party? Awesome, okay, and then there's great, there are people here who are not, which is great because that's a reflection of the potential growth, right? So, we've been talking about what do we do, you know, to support Jill and the genre, that's important. And, you know, and we know, like, you know, we need to continue to fundraise so we can make it all the way to the end. We need to continue to talk about them. We need to phone bank. We need to be really, really courageous in this really, really crazy time and talking to everyone and making sure that as many people as possible, in spite of this blackout, know that there are other candidates, because people hate those candidates that they know about. The ones that only know about those two mainstream. And we need to stop saying third party. That reinforces this idea of this two-party system, right? And that the third party is the oddball out. That's what it says, right? We need to use terms like alternative parties, which I used to like, but I like even more minor parties, because you can move from minor to major, you know, but you're part of this whole network of major parties, minor parties, right? So we should start using the term. Samira Khan, who was an Ernie surrogate, Miss New Jersey 2015, very, very politically astute woman. She's the one that was presenting that. I like minor parties more than alternative parties. We should be talking about that. But we want to make sure that people know that if they hate the two candidates that have been put forward by the major parties, that there are candidates that have been put forward by a few of the minor parties, and that we know of one who is absolutely tremendous, and we want people to know about them. Go to jill2016.com. There's also a grassroots site, who is jillstein.com, that people can go to. So we need to do that. But also, as far as building up the Green Party, we've been talking about that too. How do we build up the Green Party? And what we've been discussing is the life of the Green Party between elections. The Green Party is setting itself up and offering itself to be the electoral arm of the justice movements, right? So we want to represent, you know, like we had one of our meetings was hosted by People Over Profits San Diego, who are fighting against private prisons. You know, we are connecting with Black Lives Matter, Native Lives Matter. You know, the reason they sent me down to Arizona was to learn more about what's going on as it relates to the border issues, to connect with that community, to hear from that community what their concerns are, what their needs are, what their fears are, so we can address those issues by understanding them and not from like this very external place, right? This, you know, non-related, I'm a billionaire, but I know how to solve poverty kind of position, right? And also to begin to identify people who are leaders, right? Leaders around in all these different communities, leaders who would be great to get involved in the party, but who, whether they're a part of the party or not, who we should be supporting if they're doing revolutionary work, people who maybe would be strong candidates to run for office, who maybe would consider running as a Green Party candidate down the line, and if they were running not as a Green Party candidate, but under another party, because we know them, we know we still want to support them, because we don't have to. We can be different as a Green Party. We don't have to say, well, you're not a Green, I don't support you. We don't have to do that. You know, we can support the individuals, and we can represent freedom, including the freedom to choose which party it is that best represents you and who you are, And then we can determine, though, that you still represent what we believe in, and we can still support you, right? So knowing who the people are in these local communities and getting to know those people and connecting them with each other. And that connecting process is an important part of it as well, because the Green Party is this network, is this overarching national organization that gets smaller into regions and into states and into local chapters, and every community has its issues. And there are people in every community that are working on the issues of that community. And we, as Green Party members in our local communities, can offer a way for those organizations to begin to be connected to each other. So that if you do have, you know, an organization that's working on environmental issues, and you have one that's, you know, or a corporation of people who are working to address, you know, wealth inequity, and, you know, and another group that's working to address the issue of the militarization of police, that they can begin to work together, connect with each other, network with each other, support each other's work, and we can help make that process happen. That's a part of what we can do as Green Party. We can actually hold meetings and invite all of the organizers of our community to come to those meetings and network and interact with each other. Present what it is that you do so that everybody here knows, and then, you know, hear what everyone else is doing and see where you can plug in. See where you can say, you know, I know about a grant that you could apply for. I know somebody who's really empowered in that particular area that you're working on, I should connect you to. But then you also can be connected to people in other communities that are working on the same things you're working on here. So, like, for instance, when we were in Ventura, one of the things that came up was that they have these, the pesticides that are coming down, that they put on the farmlands. But the farmlands are right by residences. And they don't tell you when it's coming. So you wake up with your windows are open because it's hot, it's summertime. You wake up and you've got the taste of the pesticides on your mouth. Now you know that they did it last night. It's an issue. People are moving away from the Keys of Ventura because of this. And we found out that there are people who are dealing with that in maybe like the next, I don't remember what city honestly right now, but, you know, 2 or 3 cities later, you know, the next day, there was somebody in that community who was working, you know, was talking about, we have that same issue. Now you guys can work together. You know, you gotta be connected to each other through this larger organization, right? So that the movement that we're doing is always there. We're always impacting, we're always making a difference. We show up in our Green Party shirts so that people know that we exist, because a lot of times people think that we're nowhere. They don't know. I don't know why they expect Green Party people to walk around with like Green Party on their forehead. You know, why, if you don't have Green Party on your forehead, they assume you must be a Democrat. But apparently, no Green Party people have ever gone anywhere but to Green Party meetings. They've never ever shown up at any climate rallies. They've never ever been to any Black Lives Matter rallies. Apparently, they've never been there, because the only way that could have happened, if they were there, they obviously were wearing their shirts, right? Even though nobody else was. So we've got to do that too, so people know, because we're the ones, we care. The Green Party, when I went to Houston for the Green Party National Convention, I found a whole convention full of activists and people who were newly activated, these Bernie people. A lot of Bernie people were not long-term, I was a long-term activist, a lot of Bernie people were not long-term activists, a lot of Bernie people were awakened to the world that we live in, which is great, so important. So I'm not saying that to diminish it, but there were people there that were new, but the people who have been doing this Green Party work, they were all activists. That's who the Green Party is. So people have these like misconstrued ideas of what the Green Party is. We gotta show them who we are. And we have to embody the principles, those 4 pillars. For anybody who is, for the people who are not a part of the Green Party may not know that there are 4 pillars that guide the Green Party. And this is an international party, so also recognize that when you are a part of the Green Party here in Palo Alto, you're not only a part of the regional Green Party and the National Green Party, but a collection of international Green Parties that are all collected, and they all are assigned to, you know, they're connected with these 4 pillars. And the 4 pillars are grassroots democracy, peace and nonviolence, justice, and ecological wisdom. Very, very important, very aligned with anything that any activist is doing. And so as we pull ourselves together, you know, and we are driving people into our government, because that's what we have to do. We literally have to take our government. We have to take it over. We have to. I mean, it's what we're supposed to do anyway. I don't know what we've been doing. I really don't know what we've been doing, because the whole idea of this whole process is that we run our government. That's the whole idea. That's how it's built. But we keep on thinking they, whoever they are, who's not us, are the ones that are supposed to be running our government. And then we keep thinking that they, whoever they are, who are not us, are going to be representing us. This doesn't make any sense either. We've got to take over our government. That's the way it was built. It was built for us to do that. We have to do it right now. We've got to start running thousands of candidates. All people. We do have a lot of candidates. We do. But we need so many more. We got to literally, you guys understand, we literally have to take over. Because the world is under the influence of the United States. And right now, that is a horrible influence. I feel terrible about being American. I hear you saying that you embraced it and you felt, I've never felt that. Growing up as a part of a historically oppressed community, where everything that you know about your history in relation to this country that you were born into is negative and traumatic. When you come from that place, you never feel that good, strong, connected, proud feeling. I never felt that. I felt like a Philadelphian. Yeah. I did. But I never felt like an American. The first time I was confronted with this idea was when I was at Temple University and they had an African student union there, and I joined it because I felt much more connected to Africa, even though I had never been there, than I did to this crazy country that we call America, that's on colonized land. I joined the African Student Union, and while I was there, you know, what they did is they put a list of all the members, and they put everybody's name and their nationality. So they have Sienna Johnson, and she's Liberian, and you had Nana Yaw, and he's Nigerian, and you had me, and they list me as American. That hurt so much. It really did. Like, I mean, I remember seeing it in that moment when I confronted, like, these people, they see me as Americans. They see me as an American. And I had to think about everything that we represent in that world outside of our borders. I'm representing that. I felt horrible. And when I travel outside of this country, that's what I feel. I lived in Amsterdam for 3 months. My girlfriend was like, just tell me you're Canadian. They won't know the difference. Just tell me you're Canadian. That's what I have to represent. When you see all of these athletes, when the national anthem is being sung, and you see these people, and you see them doing this, what they are trying to remind people is that everybody does not have that feeling, and is not able to have that feeling, and is not empowered to have that feeling of love for the United States of America, even if they were born in this country, even if they are supposed to be entitled to that feeling. We don't get to have it, and we deserve it too. When we are being treated, and we see other people being treated in certain kinds of ways, we cannot sit there and act like the words of that anthem and the words of the pledge and the representation of that flag is actually being honored in our country. It is not. It's not being honored here, and it's not being honored when we take our boots off of these shores and land in other shores either. People's lives are being destroyed by our government. Our government.